In this video, we walk another 7 miles along the Nene Way and encounter the village of Fotheringay, where Mary Queen of Scots spent her last days, and we end our walk with a trip down memory lane on the Nene Valley Railway.
Oh look,
But we also need to ask, is the Nene Way footpath disappearing? Part of the footpath is closed. Is it ever going to reopen? And what's happening to the path near Warmington? But more about that later. Hi, I'm Diane, and I like to do walks and record what I see in my sketchbook. You'll be seeing my sketches as part of this video. We've just got off the bus, and that was a bit of an adventure because you end up at the side of the road. So here's the sign, Warmington. I'm going to walk into the village and see if we can find the Nene Way. Walking past the church in Warmington. We're officially on the Nene Way. We ended our walk last week at Warmington and we travelled back the following day to continue with the Nene Way. Or should we say the Nene Way, because the pronunciation of the river changes as you go further towards Peterborough. Up above us is a main road, and I'm hoping we will be going underneath it, so I'm not running across that. Yes, we're going underneath this tunnel, or I should say through this tunnel. When you get to this part of the walk, you will go past Warmington Mill. A common sight along this walk is to see old water mills, and this one, I believe, dates from the 19th century. The single millstone continued in operation until 1958, when the miller Matthew Hayes retired. There are several boats moored near the mill, and the walk takes you across several fields. But we noticed that the water seemed to have been diverted, as there were a few bridges that went over dry land. This is a bridge over dry ground. So I'm assuming that has water in it or something.
Yeah, I think it does when it's pouring rain.
And we're going over here where those cranes seem to be. This is the thing about these walks, it's very hard to find information if it's actually open. If you can get round, you'll just get there and they're digging up the field. If you've watched any of our other videos about this walk, you will notice that the footpath doesn't follow its original route, and I suspect that here it will be changed, because I feel that when water is diverted, it usually means that there's going to be building work. I couldn't find any information about that. I'm just assuming that's what's going to happen. But if you, valuable viewer, know anything about what's happening around Warmington and whether the Nene Way path or the Nene Way path is going to be reinstated or moved, let me know in the comments. So we've got some geese here wondering what to do. Shall we stay here or shall we go somewhere else? We have reached Warmington Lock, and I think originally the footpath would have gone where that water is, across to the lock. I'm guessing it would have just been fields. Thankfully the path isn't closed here, and we were able to once again walk by the river and cross over this lock. If ever you do a walk like this, I would pay attention to any scrap of paper stuck to a fence, as this could tell you something about the footpath. But today it was about keeping dogs on a lead. So, sheep in field, please, oh, I thought it was going to say it's closed. Sheep in fields, please keep dogs on leads at all times. Hello, sheep, we're all right, we're just passing through. Look at these geese in the middle of all the sheep. Look, don't you start anything. We're just walking through. This part of the walk takes you through several fields with lambs and other animals and birds on there, and you will end up at Fotheringay.
Doing a little tune all on the round. Beep, 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 beep. It's all right. What big ears you've got. Oh, don't get up. You're walking past.
We'd also noticed another type of bird following us, and this red kite was circling above us.
There's a red kite right above us, circling us.
I've noticed these red kites more and more recently, especially near towns and villages. The next village sounded familiar to me, but I didn't realise its significance until we got there.
We're coming into Fotheringay. Look at this rickety old sign. And I think that hill there would have had a castle on it.
I know this looks just like a hill, but it's actually an important site. It's where Mary Queen of Scots was held prisoner, and she was executed here at Fotheringay. There's a notice board in front of the castle giving more information. Mary Queen of Scots was held prisoner here and executed at Fotheringay in February 1587. You can still visit the site, but there's nothing left of the original castle. While we were doing the walks around the Peterborough area, we stayed at Lynch Lodge, which is in Alwalton, and I'll tell you more about that in a later video. But when I got back to the lodge, while it was still fresh in my memory, I created some drawings and did this artist impression of what the castle would have looked like at the time of Mary Queen of Scots.
This is where they brought me. I was brought from Scotland to here. I went up these steps and I was imprisoned here. And I never came down those steps again. This is where I ended my days.
The castle was little used after it served as a prison, and it was sold, fell into disrepair and was dismantled in 1628. I also did a drawing of Mary Queen of Scots. It's difficult to know what she actually looked like. Descriptions and portraits of her vary, but this is my cartoon version. You will also notice as you walk through the village that Rich III was born at Fotheringay in October 1452. We continued walking through the village of Fotheringay, noticing the buildings on our way. And as we left the village, the walk takes us through more fields, and I would say this was my favourite part of the walk.
We're taking a right turn, gone through Fotheringay, or Fotheringhay, or whatever it's called. We're going down here. We should end up in Yarwell. Okay, we're walking along this lovely lane. I think this has been the nicest part of the walk. And it takes us to Nassington and then through to Yarwell Junction Station, which we're hoping to get a train, a vintage train.
It's important if you're following the Neen Way that you have a map. The signs directing you on the route are either very old or overgrown by bushes and weeds, and you need to get a sense of where you're going.
I'm not sure if we go down there. I'll have to check the map.
I have to say, map reading skills aren't one of my strengths, but there are some features ahead in the landscape that you can use to navigate by.
We're going round the edge of Nassington now, and then it will take us across to Yarwell. So you can see the path in the distance. That church spire over there is quite a good navigation point.
When we got to Nassington, the footpath seemed to disappear. We weren't sure if we were able to walk across what looked like a sporting club, so we ended up walking through the club, not knowing whether we should be doing that or not, until we found our footpath again. When you've gone through or around Nassington, you will need to make your way to Yarwell Junction.
We're on our way to the Nen Valley Railway through this gate. We're just before we get to the station.
At this point of the walk, the Nen Way goes up towards Wansford, round towards Sutton, and ends up going past Wansford Station. The reason we decided to take a train was because part of the footpath is closed. There is a road that is being widened near the footpath between Wansford and Sutton, so we're taking the train from Yarwell Junction through Wansford Station and all the way to Peterborough to make our way home.
We're here.
The Nene Valley Railway has a website, and I recommend checking that before you try it and take one of their trains. The trains seem to run 4 times a day, but only on certain days of the week, and they don't run all year round. They run diesel trains as well as steam trains, so you need to check their timetable to see which one you can get. The train we ended up getting was a diesel train, but we did see some steam engines further down the track.
Oh, it's just a diesel train. Oh, isn't it cute?
I'll just get on anything.
Most people get the train either from Peterborough or Wansford Station, which is the next stop. Wansford Station is bigger and there's a cafe there. It's also been used in several films. In our next video, I'm going to tell you more about Wansford Station and which films it's been in, as the next part of the walk takes us there.
Welcome aboard. Please listen to the following announcement for your safety.
What I enjoy about going on these types of trains is that it feels very nostalgic, and I love how people wave at you from the side of the road or from their boat or if they're walking past. It reminds me of that film, The Railway Children.
Is safety stone. And when you leave the train, please mind the gap between the train and the platform and take care as you like. Thank you.